good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from any part of the world you're joining us today on Shield Conference. It's such an amazing time to be here, honestly. My name is Tinuade Oguntuyi, and I'm the GM Technical Information Connectivity Solutions Limited in Nigeria, an ICT technology company saddled with ensuring that everyone do not stay without connectivity. And today I'm really, really excited to be joined by two amazing humans doing something marvelous and amazing in the world, especially in the world of AI. Everybody talks about AI is like a buzzword now. But I tell you, there are people that are the backbone of artificial intelligence. Look like a teacher and a student. Without the teacher preparing the lesson notes, there is nothing the student will work with. So also is the people that I call the data labelers. But I won't bore you. I'm going to bring on stage quickly Joan and Eph. Please come on the virtual stage. Please, you can give them virtual words, virtual claps. Thank you.
Thank for the warm welcome.
You're welcome, guys. You're welcome. Honestly, I would say congratulations on the movement for the Data Label Association. That was, audacious. And I must say that you guys are doing a great job. But, on this webinar today, I know a lot of people are curious about who data labelers. I don't know who wants to go first. Is it F? Is it Joan? Just talk about what should you and maybe a little about the association before we delve into the question. The stage is yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Tinuade, for the amazing introduction. My name is Efantas Kanyuri. A lot of people see AI and they see all these advancements in technology and all this automation. But what a lot of people don't realize is that that process is done by people. There are people in the background doing the actual work, doing the groundwork. But then a lot of exploitation is done in the space because there's not a lot of regulation in the space. That's why we came together as a collective of workers and we successfully launched Data Labelers Association just last week, and we hope that we can create a positive impact on the negative things that have been happening in the space.
Yeah, I'd also like to add context to what he's saying. I wonder why people are saying it's an emerging form of, but it has been in existence for the last 10 years. So I just think it is intentional why the data labelers are not known. Back then in 2016, maybe the vision was a bit blurred even from our side, but now we can see the end results, and that is why we are standing up for data labeling and data labelers, and we want to be recognized as a profession. Yeah, so I think that is what the Data Labelers Association are here for. We are here to be the voices of data labelers, and we want to shed light to the entire world of what the AI is all about, because 75% of the end results, which are the Teslas and all that, comes from the work where people are actually putting their time. Yeah, with no recognition.
Yeah, and what's different to mention is that she's the president of the
You can say that again, right? Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Fanjuan, for that. Honestly, I read up a number of your LinkedIn posts and I was just super, super impressed because I thought to myself, even I am in the technical field, network leader, but maybe a little attention for so long had been to the data labelers. So, reading up your post, and I really encourage everybody joining us this day on this webinar to look out for this post from these amazing humans, and you will see what or why we are talking about this today. We're talking about safety, especially AI security. We're talking about bias. We're talking about ethics. And, you'll be amazed on how much work they do. I'm not going to be talking about it because they are the pro right. And I just want you to talk about this, Joanne. How has your work enabled the artificial intelligence ethics of bias? Because I know sometimes ago, if you want to look up a beautiful woman on any chatbot or any description, it's almost every time bringing a fair complexion lady, not even a black person. So how do your work help to change these narratives?
Usually it is not up to us to like change the narrative, because when these tasks come, You usually are given instructions on what you think is fair, what you think is cultural, what you think is societal norm. So it's certainly not up to data labelers to teach the AI models ethical or fair practices or what is beautiful and what is not beautiful. So for a long period of time, that is what we have been those are the instructions we have been giving these AI models, which now has propelled us into being in this field by like expressing ourselves, because they as societal norms is totally different from what we consider as like societal norms. So there was a big conflict of interest when it comes to maybe putting this data. But again, you do not have any, there's no alternative, or there's nothing you can do, because we need to feed our children. We need to pay our bills. So we just feed the information as we are given instructions to. Yeah.
Wow. So you're saying that there's still challenges in these areas. So what are the actions you are also taking? I know the data liberalization has been launched, but what do you intend to also achieve through this? So that at least eventually, because WhatsApp is like a garbage in, garbage out. What you feed in is what will come out. You also have to make your voices known so that you're not just labeling just to suit some sects. So what are you doing in those areas?
Uh, so when it came together as the data labelers, we actually had a serious conversation to kind of see what are the main challenges that space across the board. And we found that some of the issues that were there were things like, for example, poor working conditions, where you find that the sector is very unregulated. So what they do is they put in structures where, for example, we put in work. So for a task that I did for 4 hours, and I only get compensated at the rate of, say, I could get maybe $0.02.
I'm just imagining right now, I'm talking with this amazing humans as data labelers, and you would wonder that if the people that tag and annotate all of this data, either voice, images, or even text, if anything goes wrong, that means the feedback we will get will also be wrong. Once I remember somebody was asking an AI chatbot to describe how a grandmother looks like, and all of the description that was given does not even balance diversity or bring about inclusion in any way. And that shows that the data labelers are actually doing critical work in making AI a sustainable technology. Joanne also mentioned something about everybody saying is an emerging technology, but being in data labeler, she knows that even over a decade ago, they have been on the road tagging, annotating, and trying to classify data. And you can imagine how disastrous this can be if for like an autonomous car that is self-driving does not identify its stop sign, honestly, or an AI in healthcare is not able to read a particular way a disease looks like when it comes to the diagram or the patterns. That means somebody might actually be cancerous, but the AI will be saying everything is fine. So it really underscores the work the data labelers are doing. While I wait for them to join to really know how this impact the future of AI, because now is the future as it is anyways, because the adoption level has gone high. Even from the World Economic Forum Outlook 2025, it was said about how AI is going to change and replace most of the things that we do on our day to day, even in our own very noble careers. So I know that is a lot for the data labelers. Now they are advocating that we are the backbone of artificial intelligence, but we don't get that recognition the way we should get it. And I think it's a fair one to do because I can't do all the back endure, but I'm not recognized. And that is why Joan and Elf had gone ahead to start the Data Labelers Association. And I guess it's going to be a thriving one. It's going to be a thriving one. I give you an example. We all know the number of AI chatbots, especially when the GPT came about, that were stopped because people or the users that were engaging with them complained terribly about forced outputs. So it suggests to me that data labelers are not people that should be joked with. They might be the humans behind the artificial intelligence exploits we see, but they bring a lot to the table. While I still wait for my panelists to join, apparently they're having connectivity issues, which is the area I play anyways. And I also advocate this as much as they advocate for data labelers. People don't recognize what network practitioners or connectivity practitioners do. And that is what we see on our day to day. I really appreciate that Shield Online is bringing this safety online and building this safety together, bringing multi stakeholders approach to addressing these intergenerational audience to talk about this and how we can be safe, whether we like it or not. The data labelers contribute to how our AI exploration is safe or not, how biased or how accurate it is or not. Yes. And I mean, yes, because if data is labeled wrongly, you definitely cannot have the right output. It's so good to have you guys back on the line. I've stayed line for you while you come back. And because of time, I would quickly want to rush into this. Do you have a real life scenario where a wrong data annotation or tagging or classification are brought about breaking an AI tool or a system or the process? Do you have any?
We could say that that happens a lot because when we work with institutions such as BPOs, the business process outsourcing companies, where they receive these kinds of projects, you find that we work on so many projects, but then they never really get to production. So we could say that that is a plus that they do not actually get into production. But we could say on average, over the period of, because for me, I started working in 2018, worked all the way up to last year in the space, up to now also. I could say that I've worked on over 100 projects, but the projects that I've seen come out and are in production probably range in the numbers of about 5 or 6 of those projects.
I think there's something I had, I think maybe last night. I did not even communicate with the hunters. So there was this case involving a Volvo. It's an electric car. And the Volvo left. It was not in the States, it was in Australia. So usually we have not trained the AI models how to recognize um what do you call those very common animals in Australia? Yeah, kangaroos. So it was not able to recognize the kangaroo because we've not inputted, like, that information is not integrated in the system, because usually there are no kangaroos in the state. So that was again another, maybe a very big classification of information, because they did not think something of the sort would have happened. So again, that was maybe a flop we that happened on the AI field.
Wow. Yeah. And before you guys join back, I was just talking about it, and I'm really glad you gave this very example that you gave. So, does that suggest to me now that even as data labelers, you equally need that exposure? You need to probably make some trips, you need to get information to align it to what the outputs or the requirements are? Or how do you do this? Do you do all of this just being in Kenya?
Usually, we are given data sets from the company that is giving us information. So, like, depending on the data set that is being provided, that is what you're going to work on. And besides the data sets, you're also given the instructions on how you're supposed to handle that data. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
So, okay.
Maybe also to that. Yeah. So we also find that by design, what they do is they create piecemeal tasks.
yeah.
So what that means is, for example, we would like to teach a vehicle how to drive through a street and not hit anything. But then they will break down that project into very small, minute tasks where you're just labeling trees, you're just labeling a road, you're just doing all this, but you're not involved in the final putting the whole thing together. So for most of the part, you don't even really understand what you're working towards.
Yeah.
You don't really have the information to know that, hey, this and this and this. When now you see the final products is when you realize that, oh, what I used to do is what now contributed to this specific product that I'm seeing now on the market.
Yeah.
So it's really by design that everything is just in bits and pieces. It just allows
By the time I bring them all together. So the way you have spoken now shows that anybody that wants to be a data labeler naturally just have to be somebody that pays attention to details. Is that true?
Yes, yeah, very meticulous.
Yeah, I like that. Very meticulous because it shows that if there is any breach or any skip, it might affect the entirety of the project or what the output is supposed to be like. Okay, I have Andrew talk about the compensation. Maybe you're undercompensated, you're unrecognized as you should be because you're backbone of AI. What other challenges do data labelers face?
We also have very shallow no contracts. At times, you just find something that is supposed to be a contract just stating what you're supposed to do. It does not state your benefits. It does not state your like the terms and conditions you're supposed to work under. It's just that. No contracts means you just maybe sign or like there's a checker box. You just check it by saying like you agree to the terms of as terms and conditions of that the platform or the organization that you're working for. So yeah, contracts is one. We have no benefit, no social protection, no nothing. And the skills that we are getting here are non-transferable to any other skill, to any other field. So for example, I have worked in the data labeling field for like almost 10 years now, just drawing boxes and using polygons and stuff like that. So that means I am a professional in this field. I cannot transfer my skills to any other field. So um yeah, also I think that is a challenge. You can have
okay. Also to put emphasis, for example, in the situation where there are no contracts, the biggest effect it has is that there's no job protection.
yes.
So what that means is I could be today I'm employed, I have good performance, my statistics are okay. But then let's say I have an altercation maybe with my leader or a team leader or someone who just doesn't like me. And then tomorrow I find that hey, they have been fired, but then there's no recourse. So and then you also find that, for example, when such injustices happen where, for example, like a company called Remote Tasks by Scale AI, it is a bad situation where what they did was they push people to work on the platform, do a lot of marketing. People get on the platform, you get paid this. People do assessments, they join in the thousands because it's this thing that offers employment. But then you've worked for say 2 weeks because they pay after 2 weeks. But then when you get to payday, they close your account and then they say that you violated a policy that they don't even tell you about. Therefore, now the work that you've done, you've lost, and then you've lost all your money and it's gone. And what they do is they invest a lot in recruitment. So they have systems in place to make sure that there are always people in the pipeline ready to work. So when that happens, I get frustrated and leave. There's someone who's already in the pipeline being trained on the same work to start working on that task. They'll work, maybe pay you once, maybe pay you twice, and then they close your account. And then now they already other people in the pipeline already being trained to train. So it's just a churn. And then you find that now this is people in the thousands working. So they are getting paid for this work, but then there's no pay. They don't actually pay, or if they're paying, they pay you say in the sense.
I'm a little concerned now, and you can just be sure that even a lot of the people viewing right now are concerned about one, this work ethics, the contracts that you are stated, and everybody is just wondering now, are there no legal ways to make this binding? Or is there anything that maybe people that are decision maker, because Shield Conference is a global one, you have people from all walks of life. You have people that, also making decisions in high places, even right on this conference. And I'm believing that they are able to also see to these concerns that you have mentioned. How do you think they can help? Now in the legal aspect, making this more of a professional thing, training, because there's quality control that should also apply to what you do. You can't just be like dummies. Every data set that comes is only what you work on. There is no infusion of, bringing ideas to the table or making it more inclusive. So somebody is just telling you, all I want to do is targeted at a particular region or a particular set, undermining even other voices that should, be more pronounced. So are there things you're looking out for even on this conference today that people that are decision makers can do for data leaders?
Before we go to that, I think another challenge we are also facing is like for everyone we are going to encounter, we have to start from scratch explaining what data labelers is. So everybody's like wondering, like, what is data labeling? And the terms that we use may be hard because the language, okay, in every field there's a language they use. So in our field also there's this language you use. So again, understanding each other becomes a problem, even when speaking to maybe policymakers. Another challenge I think that we still did not explain is the challenge of maybe mental health and I'm sorry for digressing. Mental health and occupational health. So we find that most of us will be working on very, I will not say graphic content, but I'll say we work on dead bodies. And by dead bodies, that means the AI companies are supposed to come up with maybe their technologies where they're supposed to do, yeah, do postmortems on bodies, like without maybe human interaction and stuff like that, surgeries and all those things. And also, again, we also do something to do with scan. You know how to read scans, but you're not a professional, you're not a medic, and you're exposed to that. So I think you mentioned something about the content of the work that you're being given, which is also like why we are here and trying to make our voices heard because people really need to know. Like, for example, I read somewhere in the next 5 years, like there's not in the next 5 years, but there's a technology where it states that you can know if you're prone to have breast cancer 5 years before. So who's exposed to these contents? It's the data labelers. We are simply teaching these AI models how to identify things from the onset. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe the biggest issue with that is that, for example, we are not trained pathologists.
Yes.
Like if a pathologist was given a dead body, they have clinical training on how to really search. But then for us, it's like, hey, you came from labeling a vehicle. The next batch that we are providing you is of dead bodies. And it's either you do the work or you get fired.
Yeah.
And now they kind of put you in this situation where, by the if you're fired, then you have to wait in a waiting pool of thousands of people. So you either have to do the work or stay hungry. So you find that now we get to work on these projects. They're very mentally disturbing. We work on pornographic content. We work on that. You can imagine working for the average data labeler, say in Kenya, works between 18 to
Yep.
20 hours
A bit.
because of also the pay structure that they put in place where I work for 4 hours, maybe get $1 or so. So for me, in order to get $5, I need to work for 20 hours. And that just covers my basics. So we find that we have issues such as, body issues, we have mental issues. And then the problem is now because it's platform-based work, whenever now the shift is over, you just switch off the machine. But then where do I take this trauma?
Yeah.
I don't even have the means to pay for wow.
I perfectly get all these that you're said. And some of the takeaways that I have taken away, and I believe they are humans. I mean, true humans of change on this conference that will definitely also reach out to also know how this working condition, control terms, trainings can really be, amplified and activated for all these service labelers across the world. And you have started a movement that is really, really audacious, like I said. And I know it might be the baby steps, but it is towards something that is great. So that in the next 5, 10 years, data labelers are seen as truly being backbone of AI, doing all they can do to bring about fairness, the ethics, inclusivity, and the diversity that is required. When you were talking about, the health, and I'm just thinking now, what area of our lives is AI not really infused? That means you laid all of this training across board, and you might not just be able to do everything. You need a diverse team. Not just many times when we talk about diversity, people look only at the gender. What about the socioeconomic background, the cultural knot, and things that you have? You don't have all of the animals, for instance, in Kenya, yet you want to tag, you want to label. So I believe that a lot can be done. Do you see investments coming into the, because already you're complaining about this under compensation and all that, but do you think that there is a way that investment in data labeling will change the course and the narrative of what you do? and impart even the future of AI. How do you see that?
First of all, there's this narrative that people are like throwing out by outside there saying that AI is going to replace human. No, there's no way AI is going to replace the human input because in every instance we need human interaction with it. If maybe, for example, an first interaction is the machine, you need the human to do the um, what do you call it?
We do data collection,
Yeah.
and there's the curation of the data. There's then the data labeling itself. Then after the AI learns how to do this thing, it's also not 100%
Yes.
correct. So it also needs quality analysis.
Yes.
Although AI can function, it can't function without the human interaction.
Yeah.
But the main reason why we formed the Data Labelers Association, we wanted to create a common voice. Actually, within a week of putting out our website and asking, talking to people and doing subscriptions, we are upwards of 500 people in just a week of people who are trying to come into a message where we want to push for advocacy, where we are trying to lobby the government and the bigger bodies that govern the work sector, such as the ILO. We have yesterday in a meeting with I2, which is I think the collective of worker unions in Africa, trying to teach them or show them the kind of negative impacts that AI has, so that it can not take to help us in that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Joan. And because of time and because we're just time bound, but I know that this education that you have shown all of us today is going to lead into conversations, honestly, that will change the trajectory of data labelers' life and how they are compensated, how they are seen, and how they will be rewarded. I tell you that you have gone ahead to take this audacious move and it's going to metamorphose into something really big. Governors, we have to also come to sit on this so that you also live a life that is rewarding. When you see tools that you have been part of building, then you'll be able to also say that this is the worthy line for anybody to come in as a profession. Trainings and all of that, I know that will also come in, and everybody that will be joining will also be empowered. Thank you so much for this insightful session. I say God bless you and all the best in all of the moves that you are making. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
And if anyone would like to get in contact with us, just reach out to us at info@datalabelers.
You also have a website where you can now check out everything we are doing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, please follow them on all social media. Support this work, support this advocacy. Signing out from here. Thank you.